to a broadcasting issue and an error on my part, our broadcast stopped, but we're back. I didn't go any further than this. I think that was my fault, but I got it fixed for next time. I do have to do something real quick over here on the computer because I'm starting up again. Have to open cameraman. Yes. And now here. All right, so now I've locked it on my screen. That way you guys, everybody watching will see what I'm seeing. But basically, I have worked on this mold. I very easily pulled a lot of the clay out already. I just peeled it out. It wasn't hard at all, not difficult. You guys can probably see some steam coming off of the mold up top. Can you guys see that?
Yeah, Chris Steffens asks, inquiring minds want to know how something can be hard but soft.
Well, when we reach a certain age. All right, I'm gonna try and find a. All right, remember I said don't use metal tools on your to clean out your mold because it's, well, don't do that. But I'm just gonna use this real quick. I'm just picking out the clay a little bit. This is up in the ear.
Oh, did you ever find that tooth?
I did. Oh, let me show you. You guys are, a lot of people are worried that I can't get the teeth out of the mold. Well, these pulled out just like that, just when I pulled the clay out. That's how easy these are to get out. Now, you know, every now and then I got to go at them with pliers, but these came out super easy. See how tapered that is? That is just such a clean taper that it pulls right out. I'll go ahead and pull a few out now because that's what I think most people were really interested in seeing is those coming out. And I think some people were hoping that they would lock up on me and I wouldn't be able to get them out. Because I'm cocky and it serves me right. But I've done this a lot. I'm not cocky. I just made all those mistakes already. So here's a tooth. Let me see if I can just get it out with my hand. And there's the tooth out. Tooth. Let me move the camera a little bit. I don't know why I bothered moving the camera. You can't see any better because my hand's always going to be in the way. But the teeth come out almost as easy as the clay.
I keep forgetting there's a gap between the teeth and the plaster of the clay.
Yes.
Oh wait, no, there's not. There's the spray is between the clay.
Yes.
Between the plaster and the teeth.
Yes. Okay, I'm gonna.
I think what's really important at that step is the angle too. That they're tapered where you can pull them out.
Right. I'm not going to bump into the eye, or I'm not going to bump into the roof of the mouth, and I just want to give them a little bit of a wiggle. Now, you should wait for this when your clay is your plaster is really firm, because you are putting some stress on it.
Mm.
And if I were to chip out a piece, I'm just going to watch, and I'm going to super glue it right back in.
And some people probably missed this because of the gap between the last video and this video. Chris Steffens asked if you answered the question about reusing the clay.
I do not reuse the clay because it gets little plaster chips in it.
And Jose wanted to know if you can use a power washer.
Absolutely, you can use a power washer. If you do not own a power washer, in the middle of the night, drive to the car wash, which is what I did last Transworld, or MHC, for my silicone mask making class.
I'm sorry, what?
When I was at MHC, I had a silicone mask making class. in the middle of the night, I drove to the car wash, and I power washed out my mold.
That's funny. In a way, that's actually very genius.
Well, it's water-based clay. That's what I normally use.
Well, it's not going to hurt their
It's not great for their drainage. Let's be honest. Okay, so now that's the bottom lip. This is the gums and the upper lip right here.
You going to use a power washer to get the excess out of the...
You know what? On this guy, I can probably just do it with some tools.
Oh, yeah. Dr. Dark, why in the middle of the night?
Because they don't want to see you washing that much mud off of your out of a mold. They will say stuff like, car washes are for cars. So that's why I tend to do it in the middle of the night. And I had 2 days to do a full silicone mask making class. So I literally had to sculpt it all in one day, mold it all in one day, and then pour it up and pull it. So time was not my friend on that class.
Yeah, that was crazy. I remember that turnaround. That was a lot. I didn't know if you were gonna pull it off.
I mostly pulled it off. I pulled it off enough.
Oh, and this was probably something between the gap as well. Jose asked about his question with regards to ideas.
Oh boy, I'd say generally that it's a bad idea to copy someone else's work. Generally, it's not a bad idea to be inspired by. You know, if they made a cool looking orange monster and you want to make a blue one, I think that's okay. If they made Jason, who wears a hockey mask with 8 holes over the mouth, and then you do a hockey mask character with 8 holes over the mouth that looks exactly like him, but his name is Fred, well, I don't think that's as okay. If it's purely in the inspiration category and it's not a clone or a replica, I think that you're fine. Legally, if you're not going to sell it, you have the right to do that. You can copy it. But I just don't think it's a good idea. I wish the world were filled with original art. It comes down to your Facebook wall. How many times have we all had the ghost tied onto the ROV where he's flying around the park and scaring people?
Oh yeah.
That shows up on our wall, 100 times in a couple years. And if everybody who just reposted that to your wall posted original content, wouldn't that be a more interesting Facebook?
Yeah, true.
So wouldn't it be a more interesting mask world if you had 60 kick-butt artists who are making their own original monsters?
True.
As opposed to 60 guys who all make different Jason and Michael Myers masks? Which happens.
Yeah. And this one looks like it was also missed. Can you carve into the plaster a signature?
I just carve your name into the clay, and then it'll show up on the plaster.
Oh,
a lot of guys will get stamps made where they can just stamp their company name or whatever into it, and that's fine.
Oh, Jason Nichols, he said, now they have sand traps to catch the mud and natural clay that collects on cars. You won't do any more damage that a guy that has gone mudding in his truck will.
Sweet. That is good to know. Because I always feel bad.
And John says, have you finished a project without breaking your gloves yet?
No, that's pretty rare. Let's be honest. If I'm just dyeing leather or whatever, normally it's fine. All right, so my plaster is pretty green, and I don't know if you guys can see this, but I want you guys to see this. My plaster is pretty green. I want you to look right here. There is a piece of plaster from the inside of the nose that just came off.
Ooh.
That's a little bit of detail that I lost. That hole in the mask isn't going to be quite as deep as if I waited and cleaned this mold out when it was firmer, which is what I'm going to do. At this point, I've done about all I can in order to clean this mold out. I'm going to wait for this to really firm up. But I'll show you guys. I'll bring another mold over here, and I'll show you another mold just so you can get an idea. This is a Wolfman mold. Cleaned with a power washer. It's also hydrocal. On this other mold, a bunch of clay residue and stuff, so it's a lot dirtier. Once I power wash it, it'll be this crystal clean. And, you know, that's, again, it's got a flat bottom, so I can set it, and it's important that it's level across here so that I can fill it all the way up the latex like a pool, and then I can pick it up and pour it out. I'll show you guys one of my tubs. Hang on a second.
Now, while you're doing that, Alan, how long would you leave the latex in the mask before draining it out, draining out the excess?
I like a nice thick mask, so I say 2 hours. A lot of guys will do a 45-minute pull or dwell, and that's fine. I like a real thick mask, so I go about 2 hours with it. I'm going to get this new mold out of the way. I'll clean it out tomorrow when it's all the way cured. Here's my system, because I have a line of these half masks now. I'm going to move my tripod a bit so you guys can see a little more. So here's my system. In this is latex. Well, this latex is from the last mask that I poured up. But when I want to pour up a mold, I take this tub, I pour it into the mold, and I let it sit with the lid back on this. When the time is up, I take the lid off of this, still wet inside because I had the lid off of it, pick the mold up, I'll drain it into the tub, and then it sits right there perfectly, draining into this tub. I let it drain into that tub for 15 minutes, and then I separate this, I set it down. It's got wet latex in it, but it's all stuck to the edges. I put fans on in the room. I've got fans around the room to make this whole room a circular current. And this latex just gets covered back up, waiting for the next mask.
Now, I noticed that you wrote the month on the side of that. Any reason?
I wrote the month. The only reason the month is on there is because often my molds will go to dark hour, because if I've already sculpted something, I don't want to spend the time to sculpt it at work.
Gotcha.
So if this mold is there and they want to use it for it's a werewolf mold, a Wolfman mold. So it's for our July show. When we store our molds, we write what month they're for on the side, so we know what to pull if we need more.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
So that is basically, I've molded the mask. I've got it most of the way cleaned out. Just have to wait for the plaster to cure a bit before I can clean it out all the way. I'm just pushing the danger zone on breaking little pieces off. And I don't want to do that. I want to keep all that detail that I sculpted. Even my skin detail is going to be in there if I let it get hard.
Gotcha.
Plaster of Paris never gets hard enough to keep that detail. You blow on it hard and you lose those little ridges. Just running your finger across it, you take away skin detail. So that's why I really don't like plaster of Paris. So at this point, we're done. This one's in the books, gang.
Okay, cool.
Any last questions? Any questions that we missed that I want to make sure I answer?
Let's see. Dr. Dark said a car wash is a major help for haunts. You can clean blood off carpets there. Nighttime might be the best at cleaning.
It's probably a good idea.
Yeah. Looks like I think I hit everybody.
Okay. Well, gang, I appreciate everybody watching. I want to say thanks for everybody watching, and hopefully you guys seeing me do this makes you guys want to do it. And look at my floppy finger. You know, you guys will go make stuff. So thank you, and go make stuff. If you don't see me before the holidays, happy holidays.
Now, there is actually one. Michael Lassiter wants to know if you'd be willing to do a hangout on painting of the orc mask.
Yes, I will. I'll go ahead and I'll get it poured up, and then I can. It'll probably be a couple days from now. I'll announce it on the Hangout. The next live one that I will do, instead of sculpting, I will trim and paint the orc mask.
Okay.
There.
Thank you, Alan.
Now I'm a pretty simple painter. If you have seen Jurassic Park and you saw the small velociraptors that were running around, the live ones, Steve Wang painted those, and each head took 5 days to paint.
Oh, wow.
I'm not that good of a painter. I'm not that patient of a painter, and probably because of that, no one is paying me that much to paint for that long. If it took me 5 days to paint something, I'd be in a lot of trouble. So I'll probably get that orc mask trimmed, clean, pulled, and painted in about an hour. So that won't be that long of one. But yeah, it should be fun.
Cool. Well, thank you, Alan.
Thank y'all, and happy holidays. I'm going to stop the broadcast.